Okay, what we have here is a Zenith Transoceanic. I picked this up at a local swap meet. I don't need another one of these things, but you know, thought it might be kind of fun. It's got this round dial. Seems to have the basic parts look in pretty good shape. I don't see any breaks or anything like that. It's got the wave magnet in it. I haven't done anything with it at all. Just, you know, the antenna is a little hard to get out, but it does extend. I'll have to look. Probably needs to be lubricated for it to come out properly. The case is in fair shape. Actually better than fair, considering a lot of these things are really beat up. Let's get some more views of this over here. Here's the back. All looks fairly unmolested. These don't have the retractable cord, which is fine, because that's just a maintenance problem as far as I'm concerned. I don't see any real obvious signs of corrosion. Well, it's a little bit of corrosion here and there. You can see I can see that the dial cord is broken. That's needs to be restrung. I have no idea if there's ever been any work done on it or not. What was nice is it came with I'll have to fix this little. This is for the loop antenna extension. It's a little bit funky there, but I can fix that. Still have the rubber cups, and they're actually not too bad. It's got the 1L6 in there. That was the only downside, as I tested that with my tube tester, and it didn't test very well. But that doesn't really mean anything. Tube testers are for selling tubes; they're not for fixing problems. I'm looking at the coil pack. It doesn't look too bad. Hopefully it hasn't been messed with. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and pull this chassis out, take a look at what we got. I'm on the fence about firing up. I might put it on the Variac and just see what happens, see if it draws excessive currents, see if anything happens. The guy who sold it had a sticker on it that said hums, which would probably tend to make me think this is the problem. But, you know, I don't know. I might just pull it out and see what the deal is. But this will just be the first. This is a little short video to kind of get the process started. I haven't worked on this particular model before, so I don't know what I'm into. But they work pretty well. And what I really like about it is got all the documentation. Looks good. I don't know what this is all about here. See instruction book. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Maybe that's some kind of I don't know what that could be. You do plug in the, if you're going to use the battery, there's a place that, I know this much about them, that has to plug in there, and it's some kind of interlock that makes takes the battery and puts it in the circuit. I'm not sure what that's for. So, well, we'll see. Hopefully it won't be a waste of money and time. Like I said, a little worried about that 1L6 testing so weak on my BK747, but I don't know. You can't trust tube testers. Anyway, I'll pull the chassis out. We'll take a closer look. Back in a minute. Well, I always like to baseline things. I went ahead and plugged it in. I've got it at about 90 volts right now. On the broadcast band, I had to go in there and manually turn the variable capacitor. But yeah, okay, it works and it hums. So, you know, almost certainly this is bad, although I don't know, this might use a selenium rectifier. I don't see any, I don't see a regulator tube on it. The 50A1's not in there. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, the first assumption is that that filter cap's bad. But like I said, more to come later. Oh, we just lost the audio. It was, I did have, there it goes. So that's encouraging as heck. We'll pull the chassis out and take a closer look. I might as well go ahead and do it. More in a little bit. Wow, what a pain in the ass. Sorry my French. Look at all these bumblebees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we have some of the plastic caps and a electrolytic there, a plastic cap there. It does use a selenium rectifier. This resistor, sand resistor, has some corrosion on it, but I'm not too quick to say that's no good. It's got a fairly heavy duty looking sand resistor down there, which is all original and stock. I'd like to do as little to this thing as possible. What I'm probably going to do, because it won't be hard, is I'll probably clip one end of each of these bumblebees and do a test. Now the reason I say that is I don't know that they're bad. I mean, yes, 90% chance they're bad, but I don't like to change parts that test okay. And then if it doesn't test okay, what I'll probably do is just get a modern cap and, you know, pigtail it and connect it to these existing, because first of all, these caps tend to be pretty wide. This way they cover a long space, and modern replacement caps are often a lot smaller, so you end up having uber long leads anyway, and the modern caps may not even be long enough to go from the original connecting points to where they need to be. And I don't like futzing around with these wafer sockets where they connect to. Those are often quite fragile, so the path of least resistance and the least harm here is to clip these out, you know, put a 1/4 inch on each side, clip them out, put in some pigtails and put some new caps, and sell these bumblebees on eBay to the vintage guitar amp guys who love these things. They're leaking. I don't know why anybody would use them. I guess they might be okay in some kind of tone circuit where you aren't too worried about leakage, but not something I want to fool with. But boy, oh boy, I think it's got a lot of those in there. The filter cap, and it's pretty buried in there, right down in there. How is it attached? It's on a phenolic wafer, so it's not attached to the chassis ground, which is a good thing, which means I might be able to, yeah, I might be able to drill out these rivets here to get this thing out, and I'll restuff it. There's just not a lot of room here to go tacking electrolytics everywhere, and besides, I think I've mentioned how I prefer to stuff the cans anyway, and since it's got that nice cardboard cover on it, I can do it really easily. I won't even, you know, bother to cover it back up. I'll just what I'll do is I'll just pull the cardboard off, cut the can off, put in the new electrolytics, and put the cardboard back on and leave the can off. You know, I'll just have the cardboard be the one thing there, because I don't want anybody to think that's original, and that way it'd be real clear that it's not. But yeah, that's going to be a real pain to get at. And that's a pretty tight fit down in there. So man, this thing's going to be some work. Yeah, it makes you kind of wonder, do you really want to deal with it? Anyway, let's take a look at the top side. The chassis out. This is real stiff. It probably broke because somebody was trying to. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. I think it still is connected. Oh yeah, it still does turn. So there's two things here. There's a dial cord that actually operates this, the VC, the variable capacitor, which I'm turning the knob now, and then there's a secondary dial string that controls the dial indicator. So that'll have to be reconnected. I'll lubricate this up, and you know, lubricate the pin sockets and all that kind of stuff to get those in good shape. Hopefully nobody's diddled with these coils. It doesn't look like this thing's been touched, so that's a good thing. Yeah, but that is not something I really want to tear into this afternoon. I don't know. I'm 100% sure. Well, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe that silicon, maybe that selenium rectifier is really leaky, causing the hum, but I doubt it. I mean, the way to know for sure is I can just bridge over that does electrolytics, just tack one in there and see if it clears that hum up. If it does, then I'll be pretty sure. I mean, I'll take the original ones out of circuit anyway later on, but you know, I try to fix these things like it would have been done back in the day. I worked at a TV shop one summer when I was about, I don't know, 14 years old, I guess, and I did a little bit of AA5 work. That's all they let me touch. But you know, yeah, I know these are old, and I know the correct way to do it is just assume everything's bad and start replacing stuff. But I also sort of like the idea of going old school, like a TV repair shop, and just repairing the issue at hand. In this case, hum. Hum is most likely the power supply. So deal with the power supply first and see how it performs. Granted, these bumblebees may be leaky, but a leaky cap isn't always the end of the world. I mean, it may not be something that impacts the performance of the radio. A case in point would be a cathode bypass capacitor. All right, big deal, it leaks. It's across a resistor anyway, which is leaking a heck of a lot more. Where you get into trouble are grid coupling caps, where you put a DC voltage on a grid that ends up screwing the bias of the tube up. Another problem you get is decoupling caps that are off the screens and the plates where there's B plus involved. But that can be pretty easily determined by just simply putting a voltmeter across a cap. If you don't see a lot of voltage there, well, either A, the cap is really leaky, and it's just, you know. But if the B plus is okay where it should be, it's not being dragged down, then you can just you know, take the B plus reading right off the power supply, and then just test the B plus on each side of those capacitors. If it's not that much, or just look at the schematic, then you don't need to worry about it so much. And like I said, you know, I sort of like into keeping it as real as I can. It's not all about, from my perspective, making it all look shiny and new with brand new capacitors everywhere. Not if it'll work. Again, it's just kind of going back, like, what would you do back in the day? You wouldn't replace every capacitor in sight. You'd replace what's wrong to get the thing working again. And you know, that being said, yes, these caps may be a problem, but this doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to work either. Anyway, we'll come back to it. But yeah, it's in pretty good shape. It's you know, hopefully there's no I don't know what kind of caps these big cans have in them. Hopefully they're discrete caps inside and not those mica kind that leak built into the bases. But first things first, I'm going to go ahead and just lubricate some of these parts, make everything run a little better, try to fix that dial string. Then I'll attack some caps across that and see if I can find out if that makes the hum go away. And then we'll check the B plus out, and we'll start doing those capacitor checks and see if any of them have voltage on them. I'm not going to worry about the ones that are low, like I said, and that's really not a problem. And replace as little as possible to get this thing to perform. Anyway, more later.